Hello, everybody. I'm Anne Goldberg, and welcome to Getting to Know TAO. And tonight it is my pleasure to be interviewing Penny and Brent Schillinger. Penny, how do you like to be introduced? Penny Butler Schillinger, is that preferred?
Schillinger is fine. I don't want to confuse anybody.
Okay, great. Well, anyone's friends with you on Facebook. We're friends with you on Facebook. We know about that Butler name.
Yes.
So this is our second in a series of interviews where we are working together so that during this time of separation, we can still continue to get to know one another. And I really want to thank you for being here. I apologize for little blips in the beginning. It's been a tough couple of days for me. I don't know if you remember, I had a bike accident, broke a couple of ribs.
Sorry to
So
hear that.
it's been a lot of fun preparing for this. So that the bottom line is, you know what? The show must go on, and the fun I get from doing this far outweighs any discomfort. So I would like to start and say, Penny, where were you born?
Well, I was born in Bimini, Bahamas, beautiful island of Bimini. If you're not familiar with the Bahamas or Bimini, Bimini is 50 miles away from here. So a lot of the food items, TV, as you would have at shows, customs. We do have Bahamian customs, but we're very close to the United States, to Florida, Miami, as they say. So that's where I was born, Bimini, Bahamas.
50 miles.
50 miles away. You can't swim, but
some people can.
How old were you when you came here?
Oh my God, that was a long time ago. I think I was 12 when my family moved here to Miami. I believe I was 12, but that was a long time ago, Anne. Come on, you can't can't remember that far back.
Asking the flight you took, you know. And how about you, Brent? Where were you born?
How about me? Oh, it was such a long time ago that I don't remember. Though I'm told it was Cornwall, New York, which is a small community in the Hudson Valley, about an hour north of New York City.
Well, that sounds very lovely.
Unusual for South Florida, right? Somebody from New York? Wow.
It's such a departure from the norm. But technically, you're from New York, but you're not from the city.
Yeah, I'm from upstate, or as all the folks down in New York City would say, you live way up in the country.
That's right.
I always felt like, I'm in the same country as you. What are you talking about?
No, it was different. So, Penny, tell us about your family and the kind of life you had as a child.
Sure. Well, my family is a big family. I came from a family of about 11 siblings.
Wow.
So my parents raised
About, more or less.
Well, more or less. 11
From one mother?
Yes, ma'am.
Busy.
No TV. But anyway, love her. So there are a lot of us. We grew up as a close-knit family. When I was growing up, my parents always used to say, you know, stick together. You have a lot of siblings, stick together, do for each other. And as I grew older and had children of my own, I realized why she was saying that. So you build that community and that sense, that love and sense of belonging from a small child. So that was me as a kid.
Are all of your siblings here in the States?
Not all. I still have 2 brothers that live back in Bimini, and I have a sibling that lives in Louisiana and Georgia. So the rest of us are here.
I have so many questions, but it will take us off script, so I'll be disciplined.
Yeah.
Brent, how about you? Tell us about your
When I first
growing up.
met Penny, I spent like a month learning the names of all her brothers and sisters so I could impress her. Okay. And
Their siblings and their wives, rather, their spouses.
Yes, but where I really ran into trouble was when I started like trying to learn the names of all their kids. So I kind of gave up on that one. But
How many total cousins are there?
A lot.
A lot.
If you lost count, you can only say a lot.
We got married. The first 140 people were her family. Then there was room for maybe me. Yeah.
And his family, which is what, your sister, Lori, and you, and
My sons.
and your sons, 2 boys.
And a few friends.
Did you have to rent family to take places so that they were sort of an even?
No, he can just call mine, you know. And, you know, I have my 2 beautiful daughters, and we have a grandson.
Yes, we know your gorgeous, adorable grandson. We love him. Okay, so Brent, what has served you the best? Talent, intelligence, education, or perseverance?
Perseverance and luck. Okay, I think you have to have certain innate skills, but you also happen to have the opportunity to be exposed to the proper opportunities. I said opportunity twice, but so I think that's a factor for sure. And I like to think of myself as someone who, if there's a goal in mind, I'll work pretty hard to try to achieve that. So I guess that perseverance part is important.
That is perseverance. How about you, Penny?
Well, I can say that perseverance, or in current terms, they call it grit. And that has served me well because that grit has allowed me the opportunity to learn, to develop my emotional intelligence, and basically to finish my education. So having the grit, or the perseverance, if you want to call it that, has been pretty much the one thing that has served me best. Because if it wasn't for that, I wouldn't have been able to do the things that I've done, you know, finishing my degree, you know, my doctorate degree in education. That for sure was a tough call.
You have to really want it, and you have to keep pushing and moving towards that which you want.
Yes.
Yeah. And that
That's
is
what happened when I met Penny. There was a lot of perseverance going after this. And I was very
elaborate on that.
What do you mean this?
And we're talking about perseverance and really wanting what's at the end of the rainbow there. But I will say that I was, much impressed with the path that Penny had taken with her life, and I think that perseverance, that she was able to come as an immigrant from a poor little island, coming over here to Miami as a young adolescent, and then to making it all the way up to the doctoral level, and all that before she met me. So that was good stuff.
Pretty impressive. Okay, so that's perfect lead-in to the next question. Penny, I'll direct this to you.
Sure.
What is your profession? What do you do?
Sure, I am an IT information technology professional. I work for Florida International University, and I lead a team of IT professionals who provide services, desktop, computer lab services on the campus, the Biscayne Bay campus, so if you're familiar with that. And I'm also an educator, adjunct instructor for the university. Having my education, have my doctorate degree in education has allowed me that opportunity to teach from time to time.
So, and you teach software programming, or?
Oh, I've done applications software, how to use application software. I've done that in the past, and I've also taught classes in public administration because I have my master's in public administration. And so I've done some adjuncting at the university. Instructing. Let's use a safe word, instructing.
Yeah, we'll make that the safe word, right? Okay, that's, and why IT? What was that always something you wanted, or was it more there's growth there?
Well, when I was young, when I was in high school, I took a programming class, and for those that have been in the IT field for a long time, if you've ever heard of basic programming, that's a long time ago. That's the 80s.
Basic,
so
COBOL.
Yeah. I'm kind of dating myself there. So I took a class in basically in high school, and I thought it was really interesting to pursue a path along the information technology. Back then, it wasn't called information technology. It was pretty much computer programming.
Right.
So, so I liked it. It was something that piqued my interest because it was more on the side of analytical thinking. And so I was interested in that thinking aspect of it, trying to solve problems. The reason why I stayed in it grows exponentially from year to year, actually from day to day. So if you know with
what's never get it done.
Yes, with what's happening now, if you notice, there are so many applications that are popping up to help you with the responses, COVID responses, and just dashboards that are all over the place that you can use to help track. So information technology is a path that is going to be around for a long time. That career path is there for a lot of the young folks. It's not going anywhere because even what we're doing right now is
drives the world.
Technology. Mm-hmm.
Right.
So I wanted to stay in that.
Wonderful. All right, Brent, your turn.
My turn? What was the question? Well, I can tell you this, it's good to have an IT person around the house.
Yeah.
If I have a problem with my computer, I know who to ask, and she tells me who I can call.
I got a guy. I got a guy.
That's basically it. So the question was, what do I do? Something like that. Okay, so professionally, I took the route of becoming a Jewish doctor. That was the thing back in the 60s.
Was that actually a choice you made, or did it just evolve?
The Jewish guilt that our mothers inflicted upon us, all those nice Jewish boys either became a lawyer or a doctor. And if you couldn't do the medical school, then you were another type of doctor, like a dentist or something else down the list. But I actually got into medical school and became a physician. So that's the professional portion. And I went to school in New York, where I spent 8 years in Brooklyn.
Oh.
And a lot of people start off in Brooklyn and end up somewhere else, like Long Island, New Jersey, or Florida. I actually started up upstate and had to put my 8 years in Brooklyn for school.
Every Jew's got to spend some time in the 5 boroughs.
I got a little bit of that and a permanent change in my accent from that. So I studied dermatology, and then I moved to Florida after I finished residency. And I've been involved in that aspect of medicine. I've also done a fair amount of work in media and communications, radio and TV. And then these days, lately, in the last 5, 10 years, 15 years, a lot of healthcare advocacy through the county and state medical societies, involved in teaching medical ethics, involved in trying.
That almost sounds like an oxymoron. Wait a minute.
And that's why we need it. You know,
Mm-hmm.
we could do a weekend seminar on that. The problem is with the 3 different medical schools that I'm affiliated with, to get them to even open the door to let us do a little bit of ethics, it's like, it's not a high priority. So it's a difficult area, but something I'm very committed to. So I think it's important.
So you spend a part of your professional life in service, in a way, trying to expand thinking.
Yes, you know, the dermatology part, which I've done for almost 40 some odd years, that is great because I get to go in and do hands-on, actually solve somebody who comes in with some type of pain or suffering and can turn things around for them. But I can do beyond that on a much larger scale, through different commitments. One of the things we're working on now is trying to solve the opioid crisis in Palm Beach County. So I head a task force for that. Okay, though we've kind of put a little bit of that on hold because now we have a whole thing with the COVID. You know, so we're doing a series of webinars and particularly concentrating on some of the mental health and emotional issues and fallout from the COVID. So I keep myself somewhat busy.
You certainly do. Okay, now we're going to sort of switch. Now we're going into a little more of a heady question. Okay. So hold on to your seats. I'm going to direct this to Penny. In your life, what has it taken you the longest to learn? And you know, I don't mean like sewing a button.
Let's say I like arts, theater, dance, singing, music. But the thing that has taken me the longest to learn is playing the piano. I suck at it. Can I say that?
You can say that.
Okay, I suck at it. And every year I try to learn something new, something difficult, and I feel that playing the piano is hard to learn. So that's the thing that I would like to learn how to do, but it's taken me the longest.
Playing with two hands?
No, I know
Three.
how to do this one.
That's
Still
what I
I
was in.
still don't know where middle C is. So isn't it called middle C?
I think that's probably the only key I remember from the piano lessons I took when I was 12 years old.
So I would say playing the piano.
Okay, I'm having some people saying they're, let me just make sure that we are on live on Facebook.
Uh-oh.
Well, we'll just start from the beginning then. If you want.
Okay, hang on one second.
Hi, Annie.
Who's saying that?
It's Mira. Talk to me. What's up?
We should be live.
No, you're not live.
We should be live now. Hold on. I'm having major technical problems.
Okay.
To not help
I hear ya.
my team. So hang on. I don't. It's not giving me.
Okay,
easy.
so you're getting the you're going to the more thing, right?
Yeah, I'm.
And you're saying starting.
I'm telling it to go live. Use a backup stream.
Hi, Brent and Penny.
Did she sign into his account first on Facebook?
I did. I'm on his account.
Let me see. Okay. Yep. You are the host.
Absolutely. It was the first thing I did was sign in.
And do you see the more button that says start?
I did it. I did it. That's why I thought when Penny, when you were adjusting your shirt, I thought we were live on Facebook. So now it's preparing it again.
This happened with Ocean the other night, though. This tech stuff sucks. Okay, sucks.
Now it's bringing up a page.
Killing me.
If she can't get into
Here we are. Here we are.
Okay, so all right, so you know what? Try to all right, Renee, you want to go on, or you want me to go on? You want to you want
Can you sign into his Facebook?
his Facebook. Let me see if I can get his. Okay, what's his thingy?
I have no idea.
Hold on, let me see.
I'm just live right now. Hold on. I don't want to spell Brent's name wrong. Schillinger.
Hold on, I just signed into his thing.
Oh, you did? Okay, so you want to sign in?
So, hold on. You're gonna let me in?
I'm going to let you in.
Ignore me, I'm in pajamas.
Well, ignore me, I look like a ghost.
Mira, I can see you.
Well, I'm in pajamas.
See me?
Yeah, I see you. We're going to try to go in ourselves here. Okay.
Hold on.
I don't even understand what is happening and why it's not.
Can you make me host? Hi, Brad and
Okay, I can make you.
Okay.
You're hanging up the phone.
Okay, hang up the phone. Okay.
Use a stream key.
Okay, can you make her host, Annie? You're going to right click her
Wait.
name.
Hang on. I'm not in any screen where you are. So give me a minute to finish what this is asking me to do. Stream. Okay. Where do I have to go? I have to be in Zoom.
Okay, so no, you're going to press participants.
But I have to be in the Zoom.
She's not in Zoom yet.
Okay.
That's why I'm saying. And now my Zoom, wait, hold on. Here it is. Okay, now I'm in Zoom. Participants. Renee. No. Where are you? Are you under Rabbi Marc?
Rabbi Marc Labowitz.
But there's two.
Okay, let me rename myself. Hold
You
on.
know what?
Three of them, actually.
Hold
Okay.
on.
Oh, I think this must be you.
Yep, I just changed mine.
You, okay. You have co-host.
So make me host.
Make you host.
Yeah.
Host.
Okay.
Here we go.
Oh, it might be screen. It says it's live. I think we should start again if it's live. And
Yeah, I mean, the whole thing is just not. Should we do all the sign-ins again?
we don't have to sign in again. Let's just, yeah, maybe that's the only way, because let me stop the live stream. Let me give it a minute.
Well, how about I log out of Zoom? Everybody
Okay,
log.
just stay in. It's fine.
Okay.
What's the Facebook page? Which one?
This one.
Mark.
And I'm going to leave my computer on. I'm just going to leave the screen, Annie. Go on.
I don't see it on.
Go on. It's going to start in a minute.
Meeting is now streaming live on Facebook. So let's see. if
Just
I-
1 minute.
I still don't see it.
Go ahead, guys. You're on.
Okay, we are on.
Now we're on.
Okay. Hello, hello. So we are, everybody who is on Facebook, first of all, I want to apologize for the delays. We've just had some technical difficulties and we didn't know that we weren't on Facebook. So Brent and Penny, do you have any plans for later this evening? Do you have a few more minutes? Can we?
Okay, we could start at the beginning.
We
wherever
could
you wanna
start-
go. Whatever's good for you.
Consider the first couple of questions a practice run. And we have enough that we can skip and do a few other questions as well. But let me first welcome the audience to Getting to Know TAO. I'm Anne Goldberg, and I have with me Penny and Brent Schillinger, and I am very excited to introduce all of you to these two wonderful people. And we're going to start very quickly and just go into Penny. Why don't you tell us, where were you born and a little bit about your family and the kind of life you had as a kid?
Sure. Hello, everyone. I was born in beautiful Bahamas, the beautiful island of Bimini, which is 50 miles away from the United States. I was raised in a family, 11 siblings. So my parents were busy. My parents, you know, used to tell us to stick together. I didn't realize what they were saying until I had children of my own, and then I realized how important that was for, you know, the love and, you know, feeling like you're belong to a group. So that's who I am.
That's right.
Mr. Schillinger, could you please tell us, like, where did you grow up?
I haven't yet, okay. But I was born, I'm told, in a small town about an hour north of New York City, or Cornwall on the Hudson. And I spent the formative years of my life in that small little upstate community where in my high school class, there were 3 Jews, which was huge because usually there was like 2, 1, or 0. And that's where I grew up, in that enclave where Henry Hudson, when he sailed up the Hudson River back in the 1500s, something like that, he said, "'Tis a pleasant place to build a town on." They have that quoted on all the garbage cans throughout that little.
See, your experience was just the opposite of mine. Where I grew up, there were maybe 3 kids who weren't Jewish. And I really thought the whole world was, you know, it was just my experience. So, and what was it like as a child for you growing up in such an idyllic, picturesque locale?
Which one of us?
You.
Oh, me?
We're talking, yeah.
Okay. What was it like? Well, That's a question. I didn't research that out. I don't know compared to what. All right. What I would tell you though, I think as soon as I got exposed to things outside of that small town, I wanted to be out of there. Okay. The nearest city, which was Newburgh, which actually was somewhat of a bustling city still in the late 50s and throughout the 1960s. That's where I wanted to go as soon as my mother would let me out of the house, hop on the bus and go to the next town there to go to a theater, to go to a coffee shop and get French fries. And a little bit later, I'd hop on the bus and go down to New York City. So I think the one thing I remember was I always wanted to get the heck out of that small, idyllic, beautiful village on the Hudson River.
Small and idyllic.
Those were your words. The idyllic part.
The connection here is a little weird. I apologize to everybody. For some reason, despite the fact that I'm sitting next to my modem, I'm getting a notice that my connection is unstable. So if there's a little hesitation, that's just the charming way of technology. I'm curious to know, just quickly, Penny, what is your profession? You're still working, right?
Yes.
That's what she says.
Yes, I am still working. I am an information technology professional. I supervise a group of IT professionals at Florida International University, Biscayne Bay campus. I'm responsible for the IT operations on the campus. And these professionals, they are responsible for desktop troubleshooting and computer lab operation.
You're the help desk. You run the help desk, tech support, upgrading systems.
That is correct. So that's what I do today at FIU, if you're familiar with FIU.
And it's a constantly changing job. There's never any way that you get that job done.
Oh, absolutely. Everything has changed. I can tell you that with our leadership that we have at FIU, we knew that we were going to start working remotely March 16th. And we started working remotely on March 16th. So we had the infrastructure already in place to do that. And so it's not just people working at home. We also had to make sure that our services or our infrastructure was up so that students can take their classes and actually finish their classes. So information technology, we won't be able to do this without IT.
Yes, this whole world would have fallen apart even in greater degrees without the technology that binds us together. The fact that we can sit here like this is just a revelation, really. To you, Brent. You're retired, you're still working. What's your current status and what do you do? Share.
Okay, well, I went to school to become a Jewish doctor. Okay.
You fulfilled your destiny.
Inflicted enough guilt on me, and you know, I turned out exactly what those Jewish moms want, right? Okay, and I studied in Brooklyn. So, you know, talk about how I wanted to get out of that little town. Well, I spent 8 years in Brooklyn back in the 70s and 80s, and that was enough time there. Then I moved on to Florida, and I specialized because of my residency training in dermatology, diseases of the skin, hair, and nails. Besides doing that, I also have a background in communications. So I did a fair amount of work in radio and television. But as I tell everybody, I went to medical school so I could get a real job. And that did pay off. And then actually, as time went on, I did a lot of work, specifically health and medical reporting for various radio and television. And besides that, in terms of professional activities, I'm involved a lot in healthcare advocacy. I teach medical ethics on undergraduate, graduate, and postgraduate levels.
Medical ethics, it kind of sounds like an oxymoron, huh?
In certain circumstances, it is. That's why we need to be teaching it, because it's not just an obvious, simple thing that's part in it. You know, and I tell people a lot of times that it's a challenge to get that into the curriculum. And I've met with deans who are friends of mine from various medical schools, and this gets put really on the back burner oftentimes. So whenever I have an opportunity, we make that happen. And other advocacy through the county and state medical societies, doing a lot of work in such areas as cultural competency and more recently trying to solve the opioid crisis.
Both you and Penny have experience in entertainment, right? I know when we had our coffee house cabaret, you both really regaled us. Brent, you played the piano. Penny, you sang. And I know from Facebook that you were in a glorious production of I don't know what show, but it was big and grand and glamorous. And so that's very exciting. Do you two make music at home? You know what I mean?
Yeah, but you know, even though we get
I
older,
thought
we
this
still
was G-rated. Yeah, just
yes.
yes.
And actually, we've been taking acting lessons, which have been interrupted because of the whole COVID situation.
How fun.
Together and at the Burt Reynolds Institute up in West Palm Beach. So we've done a couple of short skits and things like that. So that's kind of cool. And I think we've developed a pretty good, you know, we do some of the scenes with either with other students, and we've done a few with each other. And I think we're able to develop some interesting characters.
And bypass your own personalities. I mean, just.
No, I think we plugged right into our personalities.
Okay. You never bypass, you just use, right?
The direction from this school has pretty much been be yourself. You know, when you're doing acting, it's not really like you got to emulate someone else. Just play the part through who you are, and then it'll be much more natural. So that's the direction we've been taking.
Well, thank you for that wonderful advice. I appreciate that. So tell me something, Brent, what has served you better in life? Has it been talent, intelligence, education, or perseverance? Well,
I think perseverance through education, something that was ingrained in me years ago. I remember my father telling me, you need to complete your education. You know, before you get married, before you get serious, before you do anything, you absolutely have to complete your education. Somehow or another, that happened. And I think the perseverance there enabled me to have a lot of doors that would open for me. And that's what I taught to my kids early on. I said, you got to get that stuff out of the way. My younger son at one point wanted to drop out of college. And I just told him, well, basically I told him, if you do that, your parents will never ever speak to you again. He likes to call me about 5 times a day. That would have been difficult for him. But they understood. And I think that those two together, education and perseverance of your education, has been critically helpful for me.
Penny, how about you? Talent, intelligence, education, or perseverance?
Beauty.
I don't think I have too much talent, but I feel that for me, it's been the perseverance, or as we call it, grit of today. Because for me, once I set my goal, then I know that I have to continue on with that path. And the grit has allowed me to continue on that path. And so with the grit, setting the goals and moving towards it, you know, it has improved in my learning, my emotional intelligence, because not just your IQ, you need that emotional intelligence as well. And also to have the grit to finish my education. I was able to complete my doctorate in education a few years ago. And I can tell you, if I didn't set my goals and just keep pushing with the perseverance, I wouldn't have been able to accomplish what I did with my degree. So.
And how many degrees do you have?
Well, I studied my bachelor's in management information systems. I worked with my master's with public administration because, of course, I am at a state university system, so I wanted to learn more about it. And then my doctorate is in instructional technology and distance education. So
that's a lot of perseverance. Okay, let's go on to the next question. What or who has informed who you are today, and what or who influences you currently?
Who's going first? Ladies first.
Okay. So for me, I can tell you that my parents, they were the ones that had a strong impact on who I am today. my dad especially, my dad was a prize fighter, a welterweight boxer back in the 50s and 60s, and he traveled all around the world. And he's also accomplished the Florida Boxing Hall of Fame. So coming from that childhood and him pushing, because when I look at my dad and I see how he was able to accomplish what he did back in the 50s and 60s, it just shows his grit, his perseverance to get things done. So I admire that. And him just mentoring and talking, these are the things that you need to do to get ahead in life. Because even though he was from a small island, he lived in his country for a long time. And he was able to navigate the system, as you say, in terms of how to live and the things that you need to do to get ahead. In terms of today, my children influence me, my husband influenced me, and my siblings influence me, because I feel like we can learn from everyone, right? No matter who it is, there's always a learning moment. And so just knowing that they are there, the things that they do, and learning from them, and then pretty much taking what I learned from them and then working in the community, learning the things that are needed in the community to help things to be better for them in the future. So influence comes from all around for me, but rock solid, my foundation came from my parents.
Beautiful, beautiful. A prize fighter. I got another 10 questions about that, but Brent, tell me, tell me who informed you, who or what when you were younger, and who continues to be a leading influence on you?
I think similar to my wife, there's a big influence from my parents, particularly my father. You know, I just heard stories always how he never had the opportunity to finish his education because he was too busy working 2 or 3 jobs just to make ends meet. And, you know, I was surrounded by friends who had more things than I had. And it kind of gave me the drive to say, you know, I need to put myself in a position where I can take care of myself and not expect someone else to take care of me. And I know one time when I had a date, I think when I was like 15 or 16, and I asked my father for some money, he said to me, "This is the last time I'm ever paying for your entertainment." And, you know, that left kind of an indelible message that, you know, I need to take care of myself. I think my parents were always there for me as much as they could be. I wanted more than they could do for me. And that was the drive, you know, to reach out. Throughout my career, be it in broadcasting, medicine, there were a lot of mentors that I came across. And the challenge now is, you know, as we get a little bit older, most of those mentors aren't around anymore. And it's kind of scary that some of the younger people, some of the students that I work with, tell me that I'm their mentor. You know?
The shoe is on the other foot.
Discuss that with other contemporaries of mine, other colleagues of mine. It's like, really? We're the ones that are looking up to now? Oh my gosh.
The world is going to collapse. Oh no. Not at all. Not at all. But it is interesting when as we find ourselves in that role of the older generation. It's a little mind-bending. I know. Okay, so let's go on to the next question. From your life, the trajectory and lessons of your life, what can you say to the people listening, maybe to help them navigate through these COVID times that we have?
I can start.
Yeah. How about you?
Well, I can say that just know, and most of you out there will agree, that we all have peaks and valleys in our lives, right? We have the good and we have the bad. And we have to take all of that in, right? And we have to strike a balance on taking all of that in. And the first thing I'll say is stay positive. I know that it sounds trite, but stay positive. It's very important for you to stay positive. The second thing I would say is be grateful for what you have. You know, we're still vertical, right? We're still walking around, right? We're still able to eat. We're still able to breathe. We have all of that. We still have our families. Most of us have our families. So be grateful for all those things, even the little things. We have 2 puppies here that I keep looking down, and because they want to go outside, they're looking at us and say, let me out. But just grateful for the little things there. The other thing that I would say is establish a routine, right? It's important to establish a routine into your day. When we first went on working remotely, you know, I was walking around, and the ladies can probably relate to this, in my lounging pants and lounging shirt, and then it just stayed. And then I was like, you know what? I need to kind of like get on the ball and do some of the same things that I do every day and just stay on it. So establish that routine.
A little bit of that perseverance.
Yes. And then focus on some of the things that you can control, not what you can't control, right? That's very important. We can control the little things. And Brent always tells me, he's like, I want to control the little things that I can control. So we want to do that. And the last thing I would say that it's very, very important is to build your community. Build a community, right? You cannot do this by yourself. So if you're not part of a community, start reaching out to build a community. You can do that virtually. You don't have to be in that person's face in order to build a community. So I
say that that's just such a perfect thing to say, because it's why we are here and doing this. It's why we as TAO, as a community, and the rabbi is always trying to find ways to bring us together virtually, because it roots us, it connects us, it offers a level of sanity to the before times.
It's people fail to realize that even though the technology is there and we can do this virtually, we are social creatures, right? We like the touch, but now since COVID, we might not be touching more as often. But for me, when you have that community, it shows appreciation for the person, and the person showing appreciation for you. So I feel that's important as well.
Thank you. That's really good advice. Brent, what can you add?
Nothing.
Yeah, I mean, that was really concise.
And you need to wear masks. Okay, stay about 6 feet away from people, and don't go to a lot of things unless they're totally necessary at this point. You know, so that's the real pragmatic advice. We are living in what I would call uncertain times. We have a tremendous amount of uncertainty. The rules keep changing. You get different mixed messages from social networking, from the media, from our political leaders. It's a different message every day, and we don't know when this whole thing is going to not be part of us anymore. And certainly there's a lot of social issues that are going to leave some permanent changes in the way that we function in our lives. So, you know, we got to kind of recognize that and be careful. You know, I think, you know, short-term advice when, you know, a lot of these restrictions are being lifted, I like to tell everybody, you know, we're just kind of part of a science experiment. We're not really sure which way to go. You know, we know the public health perspective, but then there's the economic health perspective, there's the mental health perspective, and everybody's kind of trying to strike a balance. So and the best advice I have is just kind of take it easy, and you know, don't do more than you're comfortable with, and we just need to be somewhat cautious, you know, whatever level of caution is comfortable for you as an individual.
Do you think, Dr. Schillinger, that people should be quarantining now, or should they feel that it's okay to be a little bit more social with practicing these rules? Because I know there are a lot of people still afraid to come out of their houses. And I'd like you to weigh in on that.
Well, I think the way to look at it is, you know, the virus has 2 goals, basically to reproduce as much as possible and to infect. And with the social distancing rules that were put into effect, in the last 6 to 8 weeks. It's like putting up a big wall, and that slowed down things considerably. And in Florida, I think the people, particularly in South Florida, to be commended for following these suggestions long before our politicians suggested that they be followed. And because of that, we were able to flatten that curve and have a lot less problems in the hospitals, and things are kind of stable now. I don't think they're coming down the way everybody thinks they're coming down. But yet, you know, as you're asking the question, what should we do moving forward? If we just tear that wall down, the viruses are going to come back. Nothing is really changed.
No, nobody has to tear that down.
Plenty of people who've never ever been infected. So it's not like, oh, it's all over. We can go out and have a big party now. But I think a middle ground, at least of some sort, is like really important. And, you know, there's more testing, but testing isn't the answer for everything. You know, testing can tell you whether you're contagious and infected today. It can tell you whether you had an infection in the past and if you develop some antibodies to it. But are you immune? Can you give the disease to other people? We still are developing lots of data on that, so we're not quite sure. So I think some type of modified schema, you know, I personally am not ready to go in a restaurant. You know, I think the restaurant atmosphere, you want to go there so you can relax and have a good time. But how can you go after they're all walking around without masks on, they're on top of each other, and it's not, you know, the 6 feet, and you don't know what's going on in the kitchen? How's that relaxing, you know, and stress reducing? And certainly one's opened themselves up to a lot of problems. The gyms are opening next week. It's a big part of my life, going to the gym, but I'm in no hurry to go to the gym because I think it's going to be.
But what about socializing? I think that's really more the question I'm asking, because at this point, there are a lot of people who have been home and alone for 2.5 months, and they're still afraid to come out. So is it okay for them to venture out, being safe, of course, wearing their mask and keeping their distance? I'm not talking about going shopping. I'm talking about maybe getting together with a friend in their backyard and sitting and talking, or possibly in their house, but maintaining distances. Is there a place where that's safe now for people, cautiously, but so they don't feel that they have to be isolating and quarantining?
Yeah, I think there is some degree of safety. You know, the situation is no different than it was, as I said, a month or two ago, but I think we understand some of the behavior that we need to adhere to. So if we're careful, the only way, for the most part, that you're going to catch this virus is through contact with droplets that contain the virus. So if you're with another person and they're wearing a mask, the point of the mask, even the low-level mask made out of a bandana or something like that, that works relatively well because it's going to prevent those droplets from leaving the other person. If there are already droplets in the air and you're not wearing a high-tech N95 mask, you may still get a virus through your mask, but the droplets will be contained for a person who's wearing a mask. So we have that aspect. Wearing gloves, I don't really understand that. I don't think that makes any difference because it's not going to get through the skin, but washing your hands, you know, maintaining a higher level of hygiene. I think people can sort of ease into that a little bit. You don't want to go in with a group of 20 people.
No.
It's also this bit about how it can spread exponentially when you have a lot of people. So I guess, you know, one can ease into that with the proper precautions.
Yeah, thank you. Sort of continuing on this conversation, how do you see the world post-COVID-19? How do you see things changing?
Well, it's a good question. You know, I struggled through reading the book, The Plague by Albert Camus, which was a famous existentialist work written in the 1940s, and has a lot of big words, so I had to look up a lot of the words. But the point of that is there's been many of these pandemics over the years, and this is not the only one. It's not the last one. It's the only one until the next one. And human behavior has tended to follow very similar patterns through these different pandemics. It's like everybody's life is fine, then they're in denial, and all of a sudden they go major restriction from quarantining to whatever they're doing. And then as they get over it, first there's celebration and they're very cautious, and then shortly thereafter, they let their guard down and they're back to where they were. So that's repeated itself many, many times in history. So chances are that probably will happen. The question is, how long will it take to get to that point? And I think at least short term, which might be 6 months, a year, or 2 or 3, people are going to be a lot more cautious. Okay, but already, like I was talking to my sister today, and my niece was up with some friends in Jacksonville, right, where they're up there acting like there never was a virus. And she was basically scolding her 27-year-old daughter, saying, you know, you should be wearing a mask. She goes, Mom, nobody's wearing masks. Nobody's doing anything like that. So you see how the peer pressure and the influence, as things kind of settle down and nobody is doing it anymore, we may all start feeling comfortable and say, well, hey, I don't want to be the only guy in town who's doing it. And so I think—
I'm just going to get masks that match all my outfits. That's all.
I think
As if we women need another issue when we're getting dressed in the morning,
issue.
right?
You know, shoes, socks, mask. Why not? I mean, how about you, Penny? What do you think? How is the world going to be different post-COVID-19?
I think that people are going to be closer. I do feel that. In a sense of, we're going to be more appreciative of our families and what's around us. The deaths in COVID-19 has shown us that it does not discriminate against anyone, right? So you have the young, the old, the culture, it doesn't discriminate. So just appreciate or be more appreciative of your families and the people that are around you. I feel like that's the trajectory that people are going towards, that at any moment you can be in contact with someone and you don't know and get the virus, and then you're not here. I mean, it may seem a bit morbid to think that way, but that has been happening for the last 2 months, 3 months.
The whimsy of life has
Right.
been more evident.
Right. And so I feel that we will be paying attention
for a while.
Whatever the time frame is, we'll be paying attention. Some of us will continue to pay attention, and some of us will be doing what Brent just mentioned about his niece. It's just like, oh, it's like a movie, you know, when the movie is over, it's the end, and everybody comes out and looks around and says, oh, the boogeyman is gone. Now we can come out. I don't believe that it is the situation here. So for a lot of us who are wise to what's going on and what can happen, we will be paying attention.
Yes, I think so. I think
everybody's going to be shaking hands
No,
for a long
not
time. That's an
soon.
interesting thing. You know, it's so peculiar. Like,
this is going to become.
Or like you say, you know, just bow your head. Okay.
That's right. Other cultures around the world, they say that in Japan, one of the main reasons that it didn't spread the way that it did in other places is because their habit is to bow to somebody and maintain a distance of respect. So there was a whole lot less initial contact right from the get-go. And if they don't feel well, they wear masks, always have.
how long
Part of their culture.
for the last few years with the MERS and SARS and all those epidemics, which were mostly confined to Asia, you'd see a lot of Asian people when they were traveling on planes wearing masks, right? Didn't you think that was pretty peculiar? Like,
Right.
now it's a whole
Now you
different-
understand why.
Yeah, now I have great respect for it. Absolutely. Okay, our last question, and I want to thank you again for being here. You guys are delightful, and you have such interesting lives. I really seriously could talk to you for hours and just have question after question. But let's draw to a conclusion with, because this is an event for Temple Adath Or. What drew you to us? And what do you enjoy most about being part of our holy community?
Well, what drew us to TAO was India.
India?
The way that all ties in, and there are no coincidences in life, but we went on a medical outreach trip with the medical students from Nova about 3.5 years ago to India. And part of that trip, we had to travel on a bus 7 hours all the way into some obscure province where we spent about 10 days. And we had a lot of students there. And one day Penny told me, oh, I met one of the young girls. She told me that she's studying to be a psychologist and a rabbi. And it was mostly American Indian American students, but there were a couple of white Jewish kids there also. And she goes, oh, you have to talk to my husband. And that was Brielle. Okay.
I had a feeling.
Day, and we were pretty busy, so I think she was in the group of students I had one day, but there were like 10 students. I didn't have a chance to talk to all the students. But the last day, before we're getting on the bus for the 9.5-hour ride back to Mumbai, I said, oh, my wife told me about you, and we're talking. She says, you know, there's a very special place that I like to go to in Fort Lauderdale. It's called TAO. I said, you know, I'd like to know more about that. And that's where that started.
Was it because of the name, because of the acronym TAO? Or was it specifically the thing that you had heard?
No, because she said it was very cool. You know, I mean, I've studied spirituality in the past, and I've Judaism. I've spent time studying Buddhism, and it was a time 3 or 4 years ago when I didn't have any specific spiritual connect with any specific local organization at that point. And so I think the timing was good, and her energy was like really good. And I said, okay, I'll try it. And then I had to follow up because I'm looking up TAO. It didn't come up. I couldn't find it on a search. And I think, is that TAO religion, Taoism? Is it this? Is it that? And, you know, I heard from her and reached out to her. I think it was like January or February. And I tell you, when I first got the newsletter and I see all these things going on, I was like overwhelmed. Like, oh my gosh, they're doing so much stuff. How can I get involved? I told Penny I was going, and I went to a wisdom class with Rabbi Marc on, I think, a Wednesday night. Then her grass, and that was pretty much it. You know, I raised my hand, asked the question. He goes, what's your name? And the energy was there, and that's where it all started.
Wisdom class absolutely hooked me. I love wisdom class. He's a great teacher. And what do you enjoy most now about being part of the community? Because I guess, Penny, your story of what drew you to the community, Brent just shared with us. So.
Actually, I didn't, put pressure on Penny. I said, why don't you come and see what this is all about? Yeah. So it's on her own volition, any involvement.
Okay, what do you really want to say, Penny?
Tell her what you like about it, if there's anything you like.
There are a lot of things that I like. I like the community aspect of it. There should be no secret that we don't have a Jewish community in the Bahamas, especially not on the island.
This is in
Nassau, but remember, I'm from Bimini, 7 miles long, 3 miles wide. And so yes, it's very small, 2,500 people at the most.
Is that smaller than Boca?
Exactly. So you have churches, and so I grew up in the church, singing in the church choir, and so Brent asking me to join him when he started to go to services, because like he said, he went to the wisdom class, and then he said, okay, on Friday night is Shabbos service. I'm like, what is that? So I had to start learning the terminology. But when you get there, the goal is the same. You're worshiping your community, you're singing, you're enjoying the company, you're volunteering in the community, you're providing a service. So it's relatively the same. There's the spirituality that's there. So it was easy for me to continue to attend services, whether it's the Friday or the Saturday. It's just the terminology is different. And I stayed there because I feel part of the community. I can talk to you, say hi to you, and Vicky, and Renee, and Jenny, and Bob, my superstar, I always call him, and so on and so forth, And so I feel connected. I feel the love. I feel that there's support of in the community. So that's one of the reasons why I continue to stay.
Wonderful. Well, you two have been such an incredible addition your personality, your charisma, your glows, both glow. And I want to thank you for being part of Temple Adath Or. I want to thank you for taking your time, even extra time, to be here with us tonight. And a little word to those of you who are watching. We will be back on June 4th with Ben and Bonnie Greenberg. And that'll be a fun interview also. And we'll get to know each other all a little bit more. And this is Anne Goldberg. And I want to thank you all for being here. And I want to send you away with wishes for many reasons to smile today and every day. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you. Bye.